The latest Marquette Law School poll on the election was released yesterday.
It shows the races for president and U.S. Senate tightening in Wisconsin. The director of the poll, Charles Franklin, is here to talk about the numbers. But first,
Charles?
I guess we should talk about the news of the day. Mike Pence is a potential vice presidential running mate for Donald Trump.
The rumor is pretty strong today that Pence will be the choice. We know that Trump met with Pence at the governor's mansion in Indiana. So he's the Indiana governor. He is a person who's pretty acceptable to the conservatives within the party. And so the advantage of going with him is both a elected office holder with a long history, was in the Congress for a good while, and someone who might settle some of the discomfort among the conservative wing of the party that feels Trump is not a true conservative.
It gives conservatives permission to vote for Trump.
It does. And so in that, I think he's the politically wise choice. You could certainly argue of whether there are others that might be better or worse. And of course, we'll see until it's actually announced tomorrow. I'll be a little hesitant to believe it's true.
Right.
11 o'clock tomorrow, or 10 o'clock our time, I guess we'll find out tomorrow. Yeah. All right, let's get to the polls. Start with the presidential race here in Wisconsin.
Sure. Well, the thing that we've been seeing is a fairly tight race, meaning in the mid-single digits. It's bounced around between 4 and 6 or 7%. By one measure, likely voters, it was up to a 9% margin last month. But this time, it's 6% among registered voters. That's everybody that's registered. And it tightens just a little bit to 4% among likely voters.
Now, again,
so
what's the distinction
it's reasonably
there?
close. Likely voters are people who are registered and say they're absolutely sure they're going to vote in the fall. As we get close to the election, of course, it's the people that show up that determine the outcome, so you want to use likely voters. But in June and July, how do we know whether we're going to vote or not? So personally, I look a little more closely at the registered numbers for now, but recognize the likely numbers are going to matter more at the end. The one other thing is likelihood of turning out captures a bit of enthusiasm within the parties and their commitment to voting. In June, Republican turnout dropped off by a fair bit, and that gave the Democrats a bit of a boost in the June data. This month, Republicans are about where they were, and now the Democrats have come down to where the Republicans are, and that's given the Republicans a little bit of an advantage.
Do these numbers surprise you at all? I mean, Trump's approval rating with blacks and women and Hispanics is abysmal. And it's surprising to me that this is that close.
It is a very splintered electorate. The best way to see that is among Democrats, Donald Trump has a 3% favorable rating and a 93% unfavorable. And among Republicans, Hillary Clinton has a 1% favorable and a 98% unfavorable. So there's almost nothing clearer than the stark partisan divide here. Within each party, though, there's still some divisions there that both candidates still need to overcome. And these upcoming conventions are a chance to make some progress on that.
All right, let's look at the U.S. Senate race here in Wisconsin.
There, the race has also tightened from a year ago when it was about a 10 or 11-point race to now when it's also in that sort of mid-single digits range. It's a 7-point margin among registered voters that tightens to a 5-point margin among likely voters.
Okay.
And the difference between 7 and 5 is pretty small. There's 2 points, as a matter of fact. So I want to stress that the difference between these two doesn't mean massive kind of shift, but it's just a little bit tighter on the likely voter side. If you look at all of 2015 and early 16 and now, it's pretty clear that both the presidential and the Senate races have tightened a bit, but continue to consistently show Clinton and Feingold with now single-digit leads. So we've still got a long ways to go, though.
And we have a long couple of weeks coming up, the conventions, and Charles will be with us every day for the next 2 weeks.
It's going to be an exciting time, really the chance for both parties to try to unify, and failing to do that, to leave themselves in some trouble.
It's been a long road up to now.
Has, hadn't it?
All right, Charles, get some rest.
All right,
we will see you
Monday.